The aliens were given simple orders: put on Earth-made training suits and follow the humans. No weapons, no powers, no tech. They laughed when they saw the gear. It was heavy, clunky, hot. Earth's gravity pulled at their backs. "Why do your suits weigh so much?" Litha complained. A human recruit passed by and said, "It's not the suit, it's the burden." The aliens rolled their eyes. This was going to be easy. Then it began. The first exercise was called the Earth Gauntlet. A long field of mud, ice, electric wires, and smoke. The humans ran through it like it was normal. The aliens stepped in, and chaos followed. Zarvax's foot sank in mud so deep he had to be pulled out. One alien slipped on the ice and hit his face. Sparks from the wires touched another's arm, and he screamed. Smoke made them cough. By the time they reached the end, 10 minutes had passed, and 4 aliens were already on the ground. One of them muttered, "What is wrong with this planet?" Sergeant Vale simply blew his whistle again. The silent march next came a long run, uphill, in full gear, under Earth's hot sun. 10 kilometers, a human officer said. Zarvax laughed. "That's all? That's nothing." 2 minutes later, he stopped laughing. The sun burned. The hill was steep. The human recruits didn't stop. They didn't even slow down. One young woman ran beside Zarvax and said, "If we fall behind, we get sent to death drill. You don't want that." "What's that?" he asked. She smiled. "You'll see." Halfway up the hill, Commander Litha fell to her knees. Her chest was rising fast. Her tongue was dry. "I can't," she gasped. The recruits ran past her. A drone hovered over them, recording everything. Vale was waiting at the top. He checked his watch. When the last alien arrived, 47 minutes had passed. Then he turned around and pointed back down the hill. "No," one alien whispered. "Not again." The water test at the bottom of the hill, a cold river flowed fast. "Cross it," said the human officer. Zarvax was angry now. "This is nonsense. Training should be tactics, weapons, war plans." The officer replied, "Before we hold weapons, we hold pain." The water was freezing. The current pulled strong. The armor became heavy. One alien was swept away. A safety drone pulled him back. 2 others got stuck in rocks. Meanwhile, the humans swam with power and speed. Vale stood on the other side of the river, arms crossed, watching. As the aliens came out, shivering and wet, he finally spoke. "Welcome to Hour 4. The breaking point back at base. The aliens were given food. It wasn't alien food. It was hard, dry, packed survival meals, high protein, low taste." Zarvax chewed once and nearly gagged. "You eat this?" A human recruit nodded. For months, Sergeant Vale walked to the center of the mess area. He held up a datapad. It displayed the words, "Halfway done. 8 more hours." Silence fell over the aliens. One looked around. "This is just the first day." Vale nodded. Then came the announcement. "Next," said the officer, "is pain resistance." The aliens stood still. They weren't laughing anymore. The iron wall, they were brought to a dark room. Inside was a steel wall, high, smooth, and cold. The goal, climb it without tech, just strength. Each alien tried. Each failed. They slipped, fell. Some hurt their arms. Their muscles were already sore from hours of training. Then the humans climbed. Not 1, not 2, all of them. Even the smallest girl scaled the wall with calm control. One alien stared at her and whispered, "She's a ghost." Back outside, the sun was setting, but the day wasn't done. The final drill before rest, there was one more test. A mock war zone. It was loud. Explosions, flashes, smoke. The aliens were blindfolded, given dull sticks to simulate rifles, and told to survive. 5 minutes inside. From outside, other aliens watched on a screen. What they saw shocked them. Inside, the human recruits hunted like wolves. They moved quietly, hit hard, and vanished in the smoke. The aliens panicked. One screamed. One ran into a wall. Another shouted in his own language. This isn't a drill, it's a nightmare. When time was up, only 2 aliens were standing. Zarvax had blood on his forehead. He fell to his knees. The aftermath as night fell. The 12 alien commanders sat in silence. Their armor was torn. Their pride was crushed. Their hands shook. They had survived only 1 day, and yet they looked at the humans differently now. These weren't just fighters. They were something else. Something built in pain, fire, and silence. Sergeant, Vale walked past them, not saying a word. One alien whispered. He didn't even speak, and still, he broke us. From the shadows, a voice spoke. It was an old human general. They came to test us, he said. But Earth isn't something you test. It's something you survive. The sun rose again over Red Base 13. The sky was orange. Dust moved with the wind like soft smoke. The alien commanders stood in a line, their faces pale. Their bodies ached. No one slept well last night. Commander Zarvax rubbed his neck. He still felt the pain from yesterday's mock battle. The bruises were real. His pride, still broken. Beside him, Commander Letha whispered, "This is not training. This is slow death." The human recruits stood nearby, straight-backed, calm, quiet. Their uniforms were dirty from the day before, but their eyes were sharp. They looked alive. Suddenly, a loud whistle sliced through the silence. Sergeant Vale had arrived. Same black clothes. Same emotionless face. He looked at the aliens but didn't speak. Then he pointed to the hill. It stood behind the base. A giant mound of rock and dirt, surrounded by fire-smoke trenches and uneven ground. At the top stood a lonely black flag. It looked far, too far. One of the aliens laughed nervously. "You want us to climb that?" "Why?" A human officer stepped forward. "That hill is called Widow's Peak. It broke half of our best recruits last year. Today it's your turn." The Hill Challenge. Begins each alien was handed a full combat pack, weighing over 60 kilograms. The moment they lifted it, they groaned. "This is a joke," Commander Zalrex muttered. "This pack is heavier than my armor," but the humans were already marching. The whistle blew again. It was time to begin. Minute 1. Pain starts early. The climb was not smooth. The path was jagged, sharp, and full of traps. Dirt shifted under their boots. Thorn plants scratched at their legs. The heat made the air feel thick. By the first 5 minutes, Commander Gruth was already sweating hard. Earth's gravity. It's like walking underwater. He groaned. Beside him, a small human girl passed by. She was half his size, and, humming a tune, she didn't even look tired. Gruth blinked. "What is she?" No one answered. Minute 7, Fire Zone. As they moved higher, smoke began to rise. A section of the path was burning. Flames shot up from hidden vents in the ground. "This is not safe," shouted Zalrex. The human recruits didn't stop. They tied wet cloth to their faces and walked straight through the smoke. The aliens hesitated. Some coughed. One tripped and rolled down part of the hill. Sergeant Vale watched silently from below. Not one alien looked at him. They were afraid. Minute 15. The first quitter commander, Litha, dropped her pack. Her chest was rising fast. She fell. To her knees. "I can't breathe. My heart, something's wrong." A medic drone moved to check her vitals. She was still alive, but barely. The human officer walked over. "You want to quit?" Letha nodded slowly. The officer handed her a tablet. On it, 2 words flashed in red. "Quit. Discharge." She understood. No return, No command. No honor. Her hands shook. She pressed the button anyway. She was lifted out. The others watched her leave in silence. There were now only 11 aliens left. Minute 25. The laugh fades. Zarvax kept moving, but slower now. His legs burned. His lungs felt small. Every time he stopped, a human passed him. Each step from the humans felt stronger. Every step from him felt heavier. He remembered laughing at them 2 days ago. He wasn't laughing now. Minute 32. A human. Fools. Suddenly a loud crash echoed. One of the human recruits, a tall man, tripped on a rock and fell. He hit the ground. Hard. But he didn't scream. He got up, wiped blood from his lip, and kept climbing. The aliens watched in silence. Zarvax whispered, "Why do they not break?" Another alien replied, "Maybe they already did, long ago." Minute 40. The test. Within now, the hill turned vertical. No more walking, only climbing. Ropes were set in place. The air got thinner. The heat made everything worse. Commander Zalrex grabbed the rope and pulled himself up slowly. Halfway up, his hand slipped. He screamed and held on with one arm. Below, a human recruit looked up and shouted, "Don't fall, we carry the pain." Zalrex had no idea what that meant, but he pulled. Harder. The humans weren't training muscles. They were training will. Minute 49. The flag finally. The top came into view. The black flag flapped in the hot wind. Sergeant Vale was already standing there, somehow. No one saw him climb. No one heard him move. He was just there. 10 humans reached the top. Then 1 alien. Then 3 more. 4 aliens remained below. Commander Zarvax reached the top last, on his knees, chest heaving. He didn't speak. He couldn't. He looked around at the human recruits. They were smiling. He looked at the hill below, a long trail of pain and smoke. Then Vale pointed down. The hill's true lesson. "You're not done," said the officer beside Vale. "Back to base." The aliens froze. "What?" Zalrex shouted. "We just got here." The officer didn't flinch. "We don't celebrate halfway victories." The return going down was worse. Legs were tired. Feet slipped. Dust flew in their faces. Zarvax nearly fell twice. 1 alien did fall, rolled 3 meters before catching a tree root. By the time they reached the base, more than 1 had vomited. Sergeant Vale stood by a table of water. He handed nothing. He said nothing. He just stood there, watching. Final moments of part 2. Later that night, the aliens sat in silence. They were too tired to speak, too broken to argue. Then a screen appeared in their sleeping quarters. A new training schedule. Tomorrow's title, "The Human Called No Sleep." Zarvax stared at it, then looked at the stars outside. He didn't feel powerful anymore. He didn't feel like a warrior. He felt like a small creature on a wild world, and he was only on day 2. The stars still hung over Red Base 13. It was Orotukar's deep night. Inside the alien quarters, soft alarms beeped. One by one, the alien commanders opened their eyes, confused. Their bodies still ached from Widow's Peak. Their legs were heavy. Their backs sore. Commander Zarvax groaned and checked the time. 2 hours of sleep, he hissed, but the beeping got louder. Suddenly the lights in their room snapped on. A human officer stood at the door. "Up," he said. "No time to rest. Today you train with no sleep." The aliens looked at each other. "No sleep?" Zalrex repeated. "Is that a code name?" The officer didn't answer. He just smiled. The meeting. The aliens were taken outside. The night air was cold. The stars were clear. The entire training ground was dark, except for one spotlight in the middle. Under that light stood a man. He wasn't tall. He wasn't strong-looking. He wore a hoodie, torn shoes, and simple gloves, but his eyes were strange. Wide awake, sharp, bright like fire. "This is Sergeant Nolan, also called No Sleep," the officer said. "He hasn't slept in 3 days. He runs night ops. He never drinks boosters. He trains harder than most humans here." Zarvax whispered, "Impossible." Nolan just looked at him and smirked. The night run, without a word, Nolan took off running, straight. Into the woods, the humans followed him instantly. The aliens were confused. "Wait," Zalrek shouted. "Where are we going?" No one answered, so they ran too. The woods were thick. Branches snapped, mud pulled at their boots. It was hard to see, but Nolan kept moving, fast, silent. The aliens were slower. Trees hit their shoulders. Roots tripped them. One alien slipped and crashed into a bush, but Nolan didn't slow. Zarvax shouted, "How is he still going?" The maze in the dark. After 15 minutes, the group stopped at a clearing. There was a tall steel fence covered in vines. A door opened. Inside was a maze, dark, twisting, cold. "This is the Shadow Maze," the officer said. "Your mission, find the way out before sunrise." "No map?" one alien asked. "No lights?" asked another. The officer smiled. "No, Nolan needs no map." Inside the maze, the moment they entered, the door slammed shut behind them. The maze was alive with sound, rustling, hissing, metal creaks. The walls were high, the paths were narrow. Every turn looked the same. Commander Gruth tried to use his wrist scanner. It sparked, jammed by Earth tech interference. Another alien cursed, "They even block sensors!" In the distance, footsteps echoed. Was it Nolan or something else? The fear test. Suddenly, red gas began to spread in one part of the maze. Commander Tyrell inhaled it and dropped to his knees. "It's a hallucination gas." He looked up, eyes wide with fear. "I see my home planet burning," he whispered. It wasn't real, but it felt real. Zarvax grabbed him. "It's the maze. Fight it." Nolan appeared near them, calmly walking past. He held his breath through the gas. He looked at the alien and said only one word, "Focus," then vanished again, into the shadows. The physical walls, further into the maze, the aliens found a part where the floor tilted upward. It was slick, covered in oil. They tried climbing. They slipped every time. Then they saw Nolan run up the same wall, using just momentum and grip. "How is that possible?" Commander Zalrex asked. One human whispered, "He trained on oil rigs in Antarctica. No sleep, no food, just motion." The maze breaks. 3 hours passed. The aliens grew weaker. 2 were stuck in loops. 1 sat in a corner, shaking, whispering things in his language. By now, sunrise was near. Then, a gate opened. The humans came out one by one. Then Nolan, still calm, still walking, still awake. Only 5 aliens made it out. The others were pulled out by drones. After the maze, the surviving aliens collapsed outside. Nolan stood above them. "You fought the maze," he said softly, "but you didn't fight yourself. That's why you broke." Commander Zarvax looked up at him. "What are you?" Nolan knelt and said, "I'm what happens when sleep becomes a luxury. I'm what Earth makes when pain is the alarm clock." The final drill, just when the aliens thought it was over, the officer returned. "One more challenge," he said. The aliens groaned. "What now?" "You must carry Nolan." They laughed until they tried to lift him. He was light. But somehow, when they tried carrying him up a steep hill, he felt heavier. Every step made their muscles scream. They collapsed halfway. Nolan stood up from their grip, then carried one of them back down the hill instead. Not to show off, just to show the gap. Night ends. But not the training by sunrise. The aliens sat in a line. Nolan poured cold water into a tin cup and sipped slowly. Then he said, "You don't break humans by pushing. You break us by stopping us." He looked at the horizon and added, "But we never stop." The next day, there was no wake-up call. There was only heat, blinding, burning heat. The alien commanders opened their eyes inside steel boxes, each one sealed shut. No windows, no sound. Sweat dripped from their heads. The air was thick, no water. No warning. Then, suddenly, the walls pulled away, light poured in. They were outside, in the desert. Red Base 13 had vanished. Now they stood on cracked earth. Under the sun, with nothing but fire towers in every direction, the voice in the sky, a voice, spoke from the sky. It was Sergeant Vale. This is day 4. This is the furnace. You wanted to know human pain. Today, you'll walk through it. A screen appeared in the sky, showing a long path, 20 kilometers long. No shade, no food, no tech. Get to the end, the voice said, or get left behind. The screen disappeared, and the sun got hotter. The furnace begins, Commander Zalrex coughed. This is not training, this is punishment. But the humans were already walking. Each carried a 30-kilo stone on their backs. No one complained. Not one. The aliens were forced to follow. Each was handed a stone. They grunted under the weight. Commander Gruth whispered, "Why stones?" A nearby human answered softly, "We carry our own past. That's why." No one spoke after that. Hour 1. Burning skin. The desert floor burned through their boots. Their feet felt like they were walking on glass. Commander Terrell hissed, "My souls are melting." But the humans kept going, step by step. Some poured dust on their feet to stop blisters. Some just bled and walked. The aliens tried copying them, but it didn't help much. They were not used to pain without a purpose. They were learning. Earth didn't always need a purpose. Sometimes it just hurt. Hour 2. No shade, no rest. There were no breaks, no trees, no shelters. Even the water drones passed by without stopping. The aliens were sweating. Some staggered. Zalrex was close to collapsing. "Commander." Zarvax looked up. "They're watching us." Above, small drones flew in circles, recording, scanning, judging. Hour 3. Fire lines. Suddenly, flame towers exploded on both sides of the path. Walls of fire blocked half the way. The humans didn't flinch. They moved forward, carefully sliding between the gaps. Their uniforms smoked. Some even burned slightly, but none stopped. One recruit clapped twice near the flames. Somehow the wall moved aside. "Code claps," one human said. "You learn them, or you burn." The aliens hesitated. Terrell tried a random pattern. He was lucky. It worked. The others panicked and jumped. One alien's uniform caught fire. He screamed and rolled. He lived, but barely. Hour 4. Mirage test now. The heat hit their minds. The aliens started seeing things. Terrell saw cool water. Zalrex saw his dead brother waving from the sand. Gruth heard music from his childhood home. But the humans didn't react. They kept walking, eyes forward, mouths closed. One human whispered, "Pain lies. You listen, you lose." The aliens were silent now. They had no strength left for pride. Hour 5. The wall of wind. Suddenly, a giant fan structure roared to life ahead. A sandstorm machine. Sand hit them like needles. The aliens screamed. Their skin, tortillas shut tight. They dropped to the ground, but the humans kept walking upright. One even smiled through the storm, shouting, "This is summer back home." Commander Zarvax couldn't believe it. He crawled forward. Each inch was war. He wasn't training anymore. He was surviving. Hour 6. End in sight. A flag appeared in the distance. The checkpoint. The end. The last few kilometers were flat. But the air was dry like poison. Commander Zalrex fell face first into the sand. He didn't get up. No drone came for him. Commander Gruth tried to lift him, but fell beside him. Only 4 aliens kept walking. One of them was Zarvax, and he was crying. Not from pain, from the simple fact he wasn't dead yet. The finish line. The last humans reached the flag. They dropped their stones, sat down quietly. Some sipped water, some just stared at the sky. Then, one alien reached Zarvax. He dropped the stone, collapsed to his knees, then looked around. Only 2 other aliens made it. The rest were still out there, or gone. Final test. The question Sergeant Vale appeared, as always, silent. Then he spoke. You've survived heat, pain, fire, wind. He stepped forward. Now answer me this. He pointed at the path behind them. Would you do it again? Commander Zarvax's lips cracked as he whispered, yes. Vale didn't smile, but he nodded. Final shot. The screen zoomed out. The sun burned behind them, dead quiet. Then Vale's voice spoke once more. Tomorrow is the drowning room. The desert was gone, so was the sun. Now cold metal walls surrounded the alien commanders. They were underground. Deep beneath Red Base 13, the humans called it the drowning room. No one smiled. No one talked. Even the human soldiers looked uneasy. The aliens had survived Widow's Peak. They had endured the furnace. But what came next?
Felt different. Darker, deadlier. The walk below, a long tunnel stretched ahead. Dripping pipes, echoes of water. Lights flickering. Commander Zarvax touched a wall. It was damp. Zarvax whispered, "This place smells like death." At the end of the
tunnel stood Sergeant Vale. Welcome, he said. No gear, no suits, just you and the water. Behind him, a heavy blast door opened. The drowning room waited inside, a massive steel chamber. Flooded. There was no floor, only deep black water. One thin platform crossed over it. Above, robotic arms dangled. Below, nothing but silence. The test begins, Vale spoke flatly. Cross the platform. That's all. Commander Gruth frowned. That's it? Vale's eyes narrowed. If you fall, you swim until the door opens. How long until it opens? Zalrex asked. Vale walked away, didn't answer. The first human recruit stepped forward, balanced on the narrow beam, took slow steps. Halfway across, the room roared. Water blast. A robotic arm sprayed high-pressure jets at him. He stumbled, but didn't fall. The aliens watched in silence. The second human fell into the water. No one helped him. He vanished beneath the surface. 10 seconds passed. Then he emerged again, breathing. Heavy, eyes wide. He didn't scream. He just swam. The aliens enter now. It was the aliens' turn. Commander Tyrell tried first. He stepped carefully. 5 meters in. Boom! A shockwave hit the platform. It shook violently. Tyrell lost balance, fell, straight into the black. He screamed once, then disappeared. The other aliens panicked. Commander Zarvax shouted, "This is insane!" The pressure below. Under the surface, it was worse. Tyrell felt the eye. Water dragged him down. Heavy, thick. It wasn't normal water. It pulled. He fought up, came back gasping. Drones above tracked every second. The water wasn't just deep. It changed temperature, freezing cold, then boiling hot, then ice again. Each breath hurt, each stroke felt like swimming through steel. The real twist, Zalrex made it halfway across the beam. He was shaking, arms stretched. Suddenly, a wall of sound hit him, sonic blast. His ears bled. He fell. Splash. Commander Gruth refused to go next. "This isn't a test," he said. "This is torture." Vale appeared beside him. He didn't shout. He just whispered, "This is how Earth trains rescue Marines. You drown here, so others won't later." Gruth swallowed hard and stepped forward. 20 minutes. Under no doors. Opened. The water didn't drain. Commander Tyrell kept swimming, but his body slowed. One of the alien soldiers floated still, not moving. Another tried climbing the wall, but slipped again. Zarvax shouted, Open the door. Nothing. Then, suddenly, a beep. The door began to open, exactly 22 minutes after the first fall. The test wasn't just to cross, it was to survive the wait. The pull-out drones flew down, pulled out the limp bodies. 3 aliens needed med beds. 2 were unconscious. Only 1 had crossed the beam completely. Commander Gruth, he collapsed at the end, soaking. Wet, but breathing. The human who drowned twice before they left. 1 final human recruit stepped onto the beam. He was calm, but halfway through, he jumped into the water on purpose. Twice. The aliens watched in shock. He wasn't testing the room, he was testing himself. When he climbed out, Vale nodded at him, then said to the aliens, "Now you understand. We don't train to win, we train to die well, so we never have to." Final words. Back in the barracks, the aliens sat quietly. No one bragged, no one joked. Commander Zarvax finally said, "We laughed at humans." Commander Zalrex replied, "Not anymore." Then Vale entered. "You think it's over?" They looked up, tired, beaten. He tossed a card on the table. It read, "Next trial, the cage." The next morning, the aliens were quiet. No arguments, no pride, just pain. Only 6 remained from the original team. Their bodies had healed, but something inside them had cracked. Even Commander Zarvax, the proudest, kept his head down. Then the room shook, a siren blared, red lights flashed, a message appeared on the wall. Final mental endurance trial. The cage, the walk to nowhere. They were led underground. Again, deeper than before. Down a staircase made of rusted steel, walls wet with moisture. No guards this time, no instructors, just 1 sign at the end of the tunnel. "Leave your mind at the door." The hallway opened into a massive black chamber. At the center stood 6 cages. Round, metallic, barely large enough for 1 person to sit inside. 1 by 1, the aliens were locked in. The doors slammed shut. Then the lights died. Absolute darkness. There was nothing. No sound. No light. Not even the sound of breathing from the others. Each cage was isolated. Then, whispers. Not outside. Inside their ears. "Why did you come here? You don't belong. Your kind is weak. You failed your people." Commander Zalrex screamed, "Shut up." But the voice only laughed. It knew his fears. It knew his regrets. It wasn't human. It was the Mindbreaker. The test of the Mindbreaker wasn't a person. It was EarthTech.ai mixed with psychological weapons, built to test mental collapse in soldiers. It read thoughts. It replayed pain. It whispered, "Your worst memories." Zarvax saw his brother's execution again and again. Zalrex heard his dead commander tell him he was a disgrace. Gruth saw fire, his old squad, trapped, screaming. He had left them behind. Now their voices clawed at his ears. "Coward. You lived because we died." Time slowed. There was no clock, no way to measure time. Minutes felt like hours. Thoughts twisted. Some tried to close their eyes. Others screamed. 1 alien broke first. He bit his tongue, just to wake up. Blood filled his mouth. But the cage didn't open. Instead, the whisper grew louder. "You want it to end, then break. Beg." The human in the cage unknown to them, a human sat in a 7th cage nearby. But he wasn't shaking, he wasn't crying. He was humming a soft tune, just 3 notes. Over and over. He had done this test 6 times before. Once during war. Once after. He didn't fight the voices, he ignored them. They fed on fear, so he gave them nothing. That was the secret. Zalrex. Zalrex started to laugh, then cry, then scream. He kicked the cage walls, banged his fists, begged for it to stop. Then his cage opened, not because he passed, but because he failed. A drone flew in, pulled him out. Zalrex was unconscious, eyes open, but nothing inside. He had cracked Zarvak's holds. Aunt Zarvax was sweating. His body trembled. The whispers kept changing. Now they sounded like him, his own voice, mocking. You are no warrior. You follow. You don't lead. You wanted this. But then, he remembered the furnace, the maze, Nolan Vale, and how the humans kept walking even when it hurt. He took a deep breath and smiled. Is that all you've got? He whispered. The voice paused, then faded. The doors open hours later, maybe more. The cages unlocked. Only 3 aliens stepped out. Zarvax, Gruth, and one silent recruit. They looked pale, shaky, but alive. Vale stood at the entrance. Behind him stood the human from the 7th cage. The same tune still hummed from his lips. The Truth Vale spoke quietly. This was not to punish you. This was to show you the difference. The galaxy fears human weapons, ships, soldiers. He looked at the human behind him. But our real strength is inside. He turned to Zarvax. You lasted longer than most off-worlders. Why? Vale asked. Zarvax didn't speak for a long time, then said, because I wanted to understand. Vale nodded. You're almost ready. Final message. As they walked away, a large display appeared. It showed Zalrex, now in a medical pod. Mind broken, heart steady. Above him one sentence flashed. Pride lasts seconds. Endurance lasts a lifetime. Only 3 aliens remained. Zarvax, Gruth, and a silent female named Riva. Their backs were straight, but their eyes were hollow. They had survived the cage, the mindbreaker, the drowning, the fire. And now, Vale called them to the final field. He didn't explain. He only said, this trial has no end unless you stop it. The arena of steel, the 3 aliens stepped through the gates. A wide steel arena spread out before them. Metal floor, rusted pillars, bloodstains on the walls. Above them, humans sat quietly in the viewing seats. No cheering, just cold eyes. In the center stood one man, tall, covered in scars, wearing light gear. No weapons, just fists. His name was Nolan. Yes, the same recruit from before. But now he looked different, calmer, deadlier. Vale's voice speakers came alive. Vale spoke. This is the final trial, rage without rest. You will fight Nolan. He will not hold back. You may use anything in the arena. Your goal is not to win. A pause. Your goal is to endure. Then silence, and a bell rang. Round 1. The first hit. Zarvax stepped forward. He tried diplomacy. This isn't necessary. But Nolan didn't answer. He moved. Fast. A blur. His punch hit Zarvax's stomach like a cannon. The alien flew back and hit the wall. Gruth charged. He grabbed a metal pipe, swung with rage. Nolan caught it, snapped it in half, and slammed Gruth to the floor. Riva didn't move. She studied him, eyes focused. The arena reacts. Lights above started flashing. Walls moved. Giant blocks rose and fell. Floor panels shifted. Nolan didn't slow down. He fought like he couldn't feel pain. Zarvax got up, bloody but angry. He tackled Nolan from behind. Nolan flipped him over, then kicked Gruth aside again. 10 minutes passed, then 20. No one stopped. Riva strikes while. The others fought with force. Riva used thought. She noticed Nolan slowed slightly when turning left. His right side was faster, so she attacked from the right. She didn't try to win. She aimed to survive. Nolan grinned. For the first time, he spoke. You learn. Then he kicked her down anyway, but not as hard. No end in sight. The trial didn't stop. Even after Zarvax passed out. Even after Gruth crawled behind a broken pillar. Even when Riva had a cracked rib. The humans still watched. No help, no sympathy, Only Vale's voice returned. War doesn't wait. Sleep doesn't come. Pain doesn't pause. Fight through it. The breaking point, Gruth finally stood. He shouted, "Enough!" and ran at Nolan with a scream, swinging a metal bar like a madman. But Nolan dodged. One strike. Gruth dropped and didn't move. Reva's stand, now only Reva stood. Bloody, limping, barely breathing. She didn't cry, didn't curse. She simply stepped forward, again and again, even when Nolan knocked. Her back, even when she couldn't see through the blood, she kept getting up, one more step, one more second. The human signal Vale watched from the command room. He tapped a code. Nolan saw the signal. He stopped, backed away. The trial was over. Reva stood alone, still ready to fight, even if she couldn't win, even if she'd already lost. That was enough. The end of Rage. The doors opened. Medical teams rushed in. Gruth and Zarvax were taken to med pods. Reva fell, but Nolan caught her. He looked at her face and nodded. "You're one of us now." Final message later, as Reva lay resting, Vale entered her room. "You didn't win," he said. She nodded weakly. "I didn't need to," she whispered. Vale smiled. "You understand Earth now." Then he dropped a black patch on her chest. A simple symbol, a human skull wrapped in fire, the emblem of Red Base 13. They were supposed to return in glory, but the shuttle left Earth in silence. 3 aliens sat aboard. No smiles, no pride, just quiet breathing. Commander Zarvax stared at his hands. Scars covered his arms, earned in the furnace, the cage, and the tie. Arena Gruth sat beside him, limping but still alive. And Reva. She wore the black patch of Red Base 13 on her chest. They were not the same as before. Memories that wouldn't fade. Every time Zarvax closed his eyes, he saw Nolan, calm, fast, silent. Gruth still felt the pain from Rage without rest, and Reva, she didn't sleep anymore. She meditated instead, like Vale taught her. Rest is not the absence of pain. It is the control of it. Arrival at High Command. The ship docked at the alien fleet's home station. Thousands were waiting. Reporters, generals, politicians. The alien commanders were heroes now. They had survived human training. But when Zarvax stepped out, he didn't raise his fist. He didn't wave. He simply said, "You don't understand what Earth is." The truth. They told inside the debrief room. General Khazar of the Unified Fleet asked, "What did you learn?" Gruth answered first. "They trained to break." Reva added, "and rebuild." Zarvax looked directly at the council. "You wanted us to laugh at human weakness. But Earth's strength doesn't wear armor. It breathes through pain. It eats fear." General Khazar frowned. "They're still flesh, still breakable." Zarvax leaned forward. "So are we. The difference is they get back up, every single time." The room falls silent. No one replied. No one clapped. They didn't know how. Because what the 3 aliens described wasn't victory. It was change. They had entered Earth as soldiers. They left it as something else. Back at Red Base 13, Nolan sat in the shadow of the arena. His hand traced the wall where names of the fallen were carved. Vale stood behind him. "They passed," Nolan said. Vale nodded. "Barely." "Think they'll keep the patch?" Vale smirked. "They've earned it." A surprise transmission back at the Alien War Council. An encrypted message arrived from Earth. A short video file. It showed Reva in the cage, bleeding, tired, still standing. Behind her, Vale's voice played. "Human strength isn't about force. It's about not quitting. No matter the pain, no matter the darkness." Then the screen went black. Generals divide. Some commanders were impressed. Some were afraid. One admiral said, "We should never invade them." Another whispered, "Maybe we should learn from them." But one said nothing. a silent elder, the oldest among them. He simply said, "Humanity was once weak, but now they have mastered their weakness, and that makes them unstoppable." Reva's choice. Months later, Reva received a message from Earth, an invitation to return, not as a trainee, but as an instructor. She accepted, without hesitation. When she arrived at Red Base 13 again, Nolan met her at the gate. This time, he saluted her. She didn't smile, she just nodded and whispered, "Let's begin." Final scene. Far across the galaxy, on a cold moon, a new alien recruit asked, "Are humans really that strong?" The trainer nodded slowly. "No, not just strong. There's something else." "What are they?" the recruit asked. The trainer looked toward the stars and replied, "They are the reason I wake up earlier, train harder, and fear less. Because if I don't, I'll never survive what Earth calls basic."